We are, they forget the days.
I don't think they forget. Maybe the problem is they remember the days, and that's why they stick it up our ass.
I don't know. Yeah.
Talking about kids.
Kids.
What the fuck? Yeah. If I talk to my dad the way we're just jumping in here, and then we'll do the intro. If I talk to my dad the way my kids talk to me, holy moly. Holy moly. Now, it really had nothing to do with the fact that my father was extremely large and strong. Yeah. He was. He was, a superhero kind of guy.
That has nothing to do. My father was what, 5'7", 135 pounds? When he walked into the room, I sat up straight. Because I was like, what's he going to do? Am I doing the right thing? I would find something to do. Let me do this. He would get on me for just sitting there.
Right.
So you're right. Even though your father was larger than life, and my father wasn't, but, they would just respect. All right, let's do a countdown real quick.
Okay.
Let's do that. Respect.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's do that. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Bones, you ready back there? I think so.
I think he's hung over from his Seaside Heights jaunt.
Yeah, a little party. He was partying. I can't wait to see those videos on his YouTube or Facebook page. He should have his own Facebook page.
He should.
That's coming up next. Bones, he's become that big a star, according to the comments, the emails. He's out of control.
Right, yeah, well, that's true. Everybody loves Major Springfield Bones.
Springfield. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, welcome back, friends. Welcome back to another episode, the holiday weekend episode of The Jersey Alchemist. I'm your host, Dr. John Gerard Gallucci.
Beautiful. And I'm Philip D'Angelo. What's up, pal? How you doing today?
Pretty good.
Okay. How was your family gathering? You had a big family gathering?
Went to a baptism.
Nice. Always a happy occasion.
It was a happy occasion.
Always a happy occasion.
And that was in Bayhead, New Jersey. Yeah.
Beautiful Bayhead.
Bayhead is absolutely gorgeous. So is Manahawkin. So is that whole strip just
100%
south of, well, I don't want to exclude Point Pleasant, but look, come on, Point Pleasant is, my family is deeply rooted in Point Pleasant Beach, and Point Pleasant Beach is deeply rooted in us. My grandfather had a house on the beach there way back, I guess in the 40s and early 50s. But not since then. But Point Pleasant is not Bayhead. It's not Manahawkin. It's, wow. I mean, there are just old-time kind of Victorian seashore manners on the beach there and in the surrounding, business district on Ocean Avenue, and they're breathtaking. So after the church, which was a lovely little church with surrounded by these beautiful stained glass windows, then I would call it, I guess, the brunch. No, lunch. It was it was in the afternoon, so it was It was a lunch. Was afterward at the Grenville, and the Grenville was just gorgeous. Yeah, it was very nice.
Nice festive occasion. It's good to see family.
Very festive. I don't think I packed away so many carbs and sugar.
After Mike's episode, and
yeah.
Wow.
Right. But it was what it was.
Mike, if you're watching,
yep.
Get him, email him. Let's go.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. But it was gorgeous. It's a different world. And, I hate to say it, but that television show kind of, it wrongly co-opted the whole thought of, quote, the Jersey Shore.
Oh, you're talking about that show?
Yeah, because down the shore, the Jersey Shore, I don't know what to tell you, but Jersey, I said it before, has 400 miles of coastline. And just about all of it is really, it's just gorgeous. Nowhere has anything on the Jersey Shore, the real Jersey Shore, not that TV show. That's it,
Wow, that's impressive.
I think Jersey took a bad rap because of that show. I do.
Okay.
I know you were a fan of it.
No, a little bit. No, a little bit. Listen,
Okay,
anything
okay.
Italian I'm gonna watch. I mean, my
But what? I don't know those characters, but apparently, like,
not always all of them are
what,
Italian.
two-thirds of them were something else.
Now something else.
Posing
I know,
as
but,
Italian
you know,
Americans,
but-
acting like Gavones.
Well, listen, anything that has Jersey in it, then well, I have to at least
Yeah,
try it.
of course.
What made The Sopranos so big? You know, not only was it great writing and acting, but it was all Jersey locations.
You know what I can't figure out about that?
Talk to me.
When The Sopranos came out, I think maybe 1 or 2 episodes had gone by, and my sister-in-law at the time, you know, she's still my sister-in-law, but, you know, divorced from her sister, she calls me up, she goes, "Oh, you gotta watch The Sopranos, oh my God, what a great show!" And my sister-in-law is of a different ethnicity, religious order than we are. And I said, "Really?" I says, "You want me to watch a show where my people are depicted as bloodthirsty, sociopathic, you know, murderous maniacs?" I said, "Here we go again," right? So I refused to watch The Sopranos, except I got home late from work one night and I turned on the TV because I wanted to have something to eat. I was operating all day and all night, and I must have turned on an episode like right after the intro, so I had no idea what I was watching.
Okay.
And I was immediately riveted and glued to the set. And when it I was like, wow, like the writing, the acting, and wait a minute, I grew up right there. You know, like I was looking at the places that I hung out in as a teenager, a young adult. I couldn't believe it. And then the end credits rolled and that song came up and I was like, oh my God, it's The Sopranos. Done. I took it hook, line, and sinker, never missed an episode, right to the crappy, strange, door slamming last episode.
Filmed in Holstein's.
Filmed at Holstein's,
Holstein's
right.
in Bloomfield.
And what I can't figure out is for the people that didn't grow up in the area that we grew up in, how did it become such a smash hit? I had friends in Canada would talk about The Sopranos. It's like, really? Really?
Well, James Gandolfini is a tremendous actor.
He put it across. He did.
If I read it correctly, you know, Ray Liotta just passed away. He was offered Gandolfini's role and turned it down.
Wow.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? But who the hell else could play Tony Soprano other than James Gandolfini?
He's made for
Right?
it. Yeah, he was made for it, I think. Certain roles, you know, Stallone, I mean, him, I mean, even Pacino. Who else could play Michael in The Godfather? I mean...
Well, you know, originally, I think it was the producers that had James Caan as Michael.
James Caan.
And
sure.
so the roles of, you know, James Caan and Michael were reversed. And I think it was, who was the
Director Coppola?
Yeah, right. He said, no.
He had a lot of fights on his hand. The studio gave him a lot of problems
to
make that film.
Studios.
And they said even like they used to watch the shorts, like they'd film it for a day or two, and then the executives would come in, like they were really on his case, you know, which is amazing. Because it turned out to be an artwork as far as I'm concerned, with the music, the photography, the way they captured the essence of that time period. It was amazing, I thought.
Yeah.
One of the best of all time.
No, I agree, but you know, the whole thing about Jersey, the Jersey Shore areas. Look, apparently there's a new film indie studio being built or just built in Newark. Yeah, a multi-million-dollar complex, and I don't know whose name tag is on it, but I was just sent that from my indie intel.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. Who knows? But I just, you know, why would people in Texas be so riveted to the TV set if they were flying down the turnpike and you you know, and you see all the sights and sounds that we knew every day.
Yeah. Well, John, think about it. I mean, what made there's a series on Netflix now, Yellowstone, with Kevin Costner, filmed in Wyoming or something.
Uh-huh.
I watch it. I love it. It's one of the most popular. You know, I've never been to Wyoming. I don't know anything about it, but there's just something.
Do you love the scenery? And you say,
I
oh,
loved it. Yeah, I loved
maybe
the
you
scenery.
fantasize about actually being there?
Yeah,
Who
you know.
fantasizes about being in Harrison, New Jersey?
You know, it's like looking at.
Or where Pizza Land is.
Yeah.
Where is that? Lyndhurst or something?
I
Or
think so. It's like, yeah, but it's like
North
maybe,
Arlington?
well, maybe it's like a car accident. Like you don't really want to watch, but you're curious. So maybe, you know, people.
I
Not,
think you're right.
not only the world of the mob, the mobster, the criminal element, but you know, there's that whole Italian background, and there's, you know, that grimy background of New Jersey.
Right.
You know, they definitely didn't go up into the country, at least on not many episodes. That was for sure.
Right.
You know,
Right. But they got lost in the Pine Barrens once.
I remember. Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. That's for sure. John, to start this episode, we were talking about kids and respect that led into your family gathering. I mean, you want to go back to that topic about
Sure.
respect? I mean, I'm fascinated by this because, like you said, think of the respect we had for our uncles, our grandparents, and then our parents especially. But we also respected teachers. We respected police officers. We respected clergymen. You know, and no matter what religion you were, you know, a rabbi, a priest. I mean, it just seemed like there was so much respect, and now it's all gone. Kids definitely don't respect parents. Nobody respects the police. I mean, teachers, forget about it. If your kid's got a problem, those teachers those parents are coming in. They're going to yell at the teacher for not teaching their kid.
Right.
You know, we used to get yelled at and then go see the teacher and get yelled at some more after the meeting, right? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Figure it out.
So let's do a little, you know, poor man's root cause analysis here. How did we go from the days in the early 1930s when my grandfather said to my father, Tommy, come with me. He had an Italian accent. I'm not going to try to duplicate it. Come with me. We're going to go to the store. You know, I need your help. And they got to Macy's in Newark, and he asked my father to pick out the toy that he liked. And my father, you know, his eyes were wide. My dad's going to buy me a toy. Wow, they had no toys. None. They lived in a fucking cold water flat in Newark. And on a cold night, my grandmother would stoke up the oven and leave the door open to the oven. And the only light bulb was hanging from a wire in the kitchen. A light bulb, not a fixture. That's how they lived. So he asked my father, which of these do you like? And my father picked out a yellow truck. I think it was made of tin or something, right? Yellow truck with black rubber wheels. My father was thrilled. My grandfather brought it over to the shopkeeper. I guess we're having a lightning storm here. And my father was thrilled that his father bought him a yellow truck. And when they got home, my father started to play with it. He went for it. And my grandfather says, oh, whoa, hey, whoa. He says, I have to wrap this up because this is for my boss's son.
Wow, what a great story.
This is for my boss's son.
Wow.
Talk about a boom boom.
Wow.
You know, or a violin, you know, a sad violin lick. But my father adored his mother and father. He did anything they said. Now apparently my father was the baby. He was the youngest of three. He had an older brother and an older sister, and the older sister was on the phone with me here the other day. She's still alive. She's almost 97. God bless her.
Bless her.
But they were more or less street kids and didn't really listen to my grandfather. And there were many, many fights, plenty of fights. But my father had such respect for his parents and for the elders and for his grandparents. And to be honest with you, I'm going to tell a story that's a little kooky, but it's the truth. His grandfather, my grandfather owned a gas station, and the gas station was on the corner. I don't know what street it was on. It was down in Newark. And when school got out, the kids would cut across the gas station, and my great-grandfather knew that shouldn't happen. It was a problem. You know, if anybody wandered into
It's dangerous.
into a bay, there were pits you could fall into where they didn't have a lift, they had a pit. So you had to crawl down into the pit and get underneath the car to fix what was going on. So his solution, my great-grandfather, my father's grandfather's solution to the problem, twofold. We're going to get a big-ass dog that'll tear their leg off if they come onto this property, which he did. He got a German Shepherd Chow. Can you imagine?
Wow.
Right? And he had a rubber hose. He had a rubber hose that was about a foot long, and he would stand there on the corner when the kids got out of school, and he stood there kind of whistling with his arms behind his back with his old fedora on, probably had a stogie in his mouth, and if the kids were not with the program and they all knew and they were going to test him and cut across that gas station corner lot, as they passed him, he didn't approach them face to face, as they passed him, out came that rubber hose and pow, he gave it to them right across the back of the head.
What?
That's the truth.
What?
That's the God's honest truth. If my father was still alive, he would say, "Yeah, that was my grandfather.
Wow, wow.
Nobody fucked with that guy. Nobody."
And you know what? If you're a kid and you went home and told their parents that, they probably got hit too. What are you doing crossing the guy's property? You don't belong there.
Mr. So-and-so had to hit you with a rubber hose?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? Pow! Right?
Yeah.
Get in your room or
Yeah.
whatever. Or,
Yeah.
no food for you.
Yeah, no food for you. Well, John, just understand. I mean, so these people that came from nothing.
It was nothing.
That's
It
right.
was nothing.
It was. We all know the stories.
Yeah.
I mean, the fabric that held them together. You talk about a cold water flat. I mean, and you had to put extra, the fire, the
Yeah.
logs. Think how that bonds a family.
It does.
You know,
It's you for survival.
That's right.
what
So
it
you
is.
need each other for survival.
Yep.
My father grew up. He had 10 brothers and sisters. He was
It's
one of
amazing.
11, and my grandfather died early. So when it came time to eat or whatever, my grandma would say, "Listen, the produce store. See what you can grab and run." That's what they would say. See if you can grab and run. And if they got caught, they got beat up really bad, even as kids, by the police. Yeah.
If they got caught.
If they got caught.
No, I thought you meant if they got caught, their parents beat the shit out of them for getting caught.
Yeah. Well, that probably happened too. My grandmother was tough. And I mean, so just think of that bond that formed with a family. So you did respect your elders because you all went through the struggle together. Okay? You don't think less of your mother or father or your brother and sister because you were all freezing and, scrapping for food and, all together. That's why, kids going to school was a privilege back then. I mean, if you were a certain age, you had to start working.
Yeah.
And if your family had a business, you had to start working in the family business, whatever that was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I don't want to bash the educational system, but something has gone very wrong within the halls of the educational system. Something has gone tremendously wrong, and at the same time, you've got. All right, let's look at it this way. At least within the scope of our memory as kids, cartoons, which were basically brainwashing us one way or the other. Cartoons were on a Saturday morning, and I think it was from 8 a.m. until 12. And then after that, it returned back to, the bullshit ho-hum adult programming. Looney Tunes was only on for like 4 hours a week, and then during the week, you had the Flintstones after school and before dinner, and then you had a couple of kids series like Lost in Space and whatnot, and Flipper was there, and and the Skippy, the bush kangaroo. I remember all of those, but I don't know. It's like today it's 24/7. And the
Well,
kid.
John, look at car rides. I mean, we look at a car ride. You sat in the back of the car, and you asked, "Are we there yet?" Like 50 times until your mother turned around and whacked you,
Yeah.
or you just did it. Nobody
Right.
cared if you were entertained.
Right.
Now there's TVs in the back of the cars. The
Right.
kids are on their phone. I mean, they don't want to get there yet because they're so busy either watching some screen or they're
Yeah.
playing on their phones.
Yeah.
I mean, totally lost in conversation. How
Yeah.
about back in the day with dinners? When you sat down at the dinner table,
shit.
there was one TV that went off. Maybe you were lucky enough to watch the news, and you waited for your father, right?
Yeah.
You didn't
Yeah.
eat until he was served, and then, it was like a whole process.
Can I tell my pork chop story?
I've been waiting for your pork chop story since we've started this podcast.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I got a story about everything, right? And maybe it's because I just never forget anything. It was one of those weeknights. It wasn't a Friday where we usually had fish on a Friday. It was that Catholic thing. But, 2 or 3 nights a week, we'd have either spaghetti, macaroni, or pizza, and that was it, man. We just were like all in on that. We couldn't wait to slap our asses down at the table. I do remember on a Friday when I came home after school, if I smelled what I thought was pizza in the oven, and I looked in and saw that it was flounder pizzaiola, I was like, oh shit. That's basically a pizza tin with, fish on it with tomato sauce and some whatever. We never really put cheese on fish. So where was I going with this?
You were talking about your pork chop.
Oh, so my mother was a very good cook.
Amen.
All of the women in the family, both sides, were just master chefs. They really were. But my mother could not make pork chops. My mother's pork chops, sorry, Mom, it's the truth. Her pork chops sucked, and she usually made them like with peas, and I couldn't stomach peas. No. I learned how to really enjoy those big, large, green, frozen snow peas because they're pretty damn good. But do not open up a can of peas and put them on the dish. I don't give a shit how you cook them or how you saute them or spice them. It ain't for me. And my mother's pork chops, we had holes in our shoes back then. How many kids? Well, maybe worldwide, there's a lot of kids that don't even have shoes. But back then, we had holes in our shoes because we had one pair of shoes until we grew out of them. And I can remember, looking through the bottom of the shoe, and then your sock had a hole in it because it was.
You had to convince your father you needed new sneakers, and then you still didn't get
You had
them.
to convince them. So my mother's pork chops, you heard the joke. You could use them as roofing shingles, or floor tiles, or you could stick them in a shoe with a hole in it and use them as a patch on the rubber soles of your shoes.
Wow.
My mother's pork chops sucked, and she put 2 pork chops in my dish, and I think that this was 3rd grade, something like that. And I was like, holy shit. And my father had a bug up his ass that night. And I said something. I issued some iteration of, I'm not going to eat this. This is disgusting, right? He bounced my head off the wall with his finger. That was my father's signature. He never swatted us because he knew he would break our necks. It was the finger in the forehead, bang, like that, or in the chest. And then he'd say, if I ever hit you, I'd have to call the ambulance. You'd be in the hospital. And it was true. My father was a gentle guy, otherwise, but that was his threat. And he looked at me and he said, and everybody was done. My brother vacuumed up. He loved those pork chops, and my brother happened to love peas. So he gave me that smirk, like in a sitcom, like, You're stuck at the table, you little shit. I've finished my food. I'm going to go watch TV. That kind of thing. All right, fine, jerk, right? And my sister was coddled by my mother. Okay, Franny, it's okay. It's all right. Yeah, oh, good job, Franny. But me, I was like, fuck it. You know, and that word came out of my mouth once, and I got the shit beat out of me. Not at the dinner table, God forbid. So, my father said to me, you will sit here all goddamn night until the sun comes up until you finish that food. Mm. And I was like, you could have cooked an ostrich egg on my head. Mm. And I was issuing revenge against that decree from my horrible dad, right? I says, I'll show him. Screw him, I'll show him. So I filled my mouth with peas. And before I filled my mouth with peas, I said, Mom, I'm done. I says, I'm done. I didn't like it, but I'm done. Okay? She looked at me. She was like washing dishes. Oh, okay, all right, yeah, all right. And boom, I filled my mouth with peas. And I grabbed the pork chops off the plate, and I put one in each of my pockets. And I said, And I went upstairs to the bathroom. Thank God nobody was in the bathroom, because then I would have been sitting with a mouthful of peas. As soon as I got in there, I shut that door, whack, right into the toilet. Yeah, I just emptied my mouth into the toilet, fuck those peas. But I forgot about the pork chops. I flushed the toilet, there go the peas, thank God, evil little things. And the next day, when I got up, and did the whole get up, wash your face, brush your teeth, all that bullshit, comb your hair, get into my pants, get into a shirt, and had something to eat, and and off to school we went. I had no idea. So we were at the water fountain line. These are the days when everybody got taken out of the classroom for a water break. We went out into the hallway, and everybody's lined up. And there was one kid in front of me, and I stuck my hands into my pockets, and the teacher came over, and she goes, "Are you okay?" And I had this puzzled look on my face, that when I stuck my hands into my pockets, I had no idea what I ran into, and I pulled out a pork chop in each hand. And she looked at me, and she goes, "What?" She goes, "I'm calling your mother." And I was like, "No, don't call my mother." Because then if she calls my mother's going to tell my father. And I knew where those pork chops were going to go that
Johnny's
next night.
bringing pork chops.
Oh, boy. Oh, man, God, did I get into trouble. I thought my teacher was my ally. She caught me. I really got cold-cocked, and I'm going to call your mother. Good Lordy. I don't know, Phil.
How much trouble did you get into?
Does that mean I had...
Oh, it was bad.
Yeah. We never got grounded, but it was no TV for you for a week. That's kind of like getting grounded. I was absolutely. Like, and my brother was like, "So you thought you were going to pull a fast one,
Of course he did. Of course he did.
Right.
But, John, just think of the respect. I mean, it's so much respect when the family is close-knit like that. Even if you had to go to an extreme, like hiding pork chops in your pocket, that is a great story. But now, there's no respect. I don't even think, what family do you know talks about sitting down and eating dinner together?
I honestly don't. Maybe Jordan Peterson or someone of that caliber can break this down as to where society went wrong. Is it television? Is it the music industry? Is it the educational system?
How about all of the above?
It's all of the. We don't need Jordan Peterson for that. God bless him. I love him. But it's all of it.
And the nucleus of the family is gone. It's just gone. Divorce is rampant. Everybody's working their own hours. It's just out of control. It's like going downhill in a car with no brakes.
Yeah.
Just whoa, and you get caught up on it. You get caught up in it.
No,
Everybody wants a promotion at work. Everybody wants, no matter what the jobs were in the past. There were some crazy hours and some long days, but it seemed like at 6 o'clock, everybody was there at dinner.
Where are the teeth? The teeth, though, I think the teeth is what the answer was back then because, all right, let's say there were a set of parents that weren't completely on the mark. And maybe they acted in a hypocritical way. Maybe they did this, maybe they did that, and then they had a problem with one of their kids, and the kids called them out. Oh, yeah? Well, I hear you cursing. I hear you guys fighting. You know, hey, I'm sure there's tons of that shit in this world. Back in the day, you would have had your face slapped off by your mother, either with a wooden spoon, or my mom had the stainless steel ladle, or your dad, oh my God, your dad would have taken his belt off and whipped the shit out of you. Or just, you know, punched you. Lots of dads punch their kids out, right?
You know what I remember, John? This is what I remember of my childhood. Seeing a hand about here before I recognized it, before it mushed me across the face.
And I bet it was your mother's hand.
No, it was Pop's.
It was Dad's?
Really? Yeah, she was spoons. She was the spoons. Yeah.
She played the spoons, did
she played the spoons, and then Pop would just, you know, he was just physical. But
well, you can't do that today. You can't hit your kids. You hit your kids today, and the kids almost seem to know it. It's like, oh, you hit me.
Listen, when
you're in trouble, I'm gonna call my teacher, or I'm gonna tell the neighbors, and then some shithead neighbor is gonna fucking call DIFUS.
How about if you got in a fight in the neighborhood, right? I would go tell my father. Hey, guess what? Either I fought with, you know, so and so down the street. You know, even if I won or lost, I usually lost. But, you know, I wouldn't say anything to him. Now, you know, my kids, if there was ever an altercation, I had parents calling me, we're coming over, and we're going to talk about this. I'm like, talk about what? What is there to talk about? Your kid's okay, my kid's okay. Tomorrow they're going to be friends.
You know, my father told me once I came home, and it was a Saturday afternoon, and I had to wait for him to get home from whatever football game he was at. You know, he was an athletic director, and I think at the time it was Bloomfield. I was a little kid. I was like 5. But I don't know where he was. Bloomfield, Nutley, whatever. But I think I was around 8 years old, and one of the extended neighborhood older kids, who maybe was 12, that's my brother's age, just decided he was going to pick on me that day. You know, maybe his older brother was beating the shit out of him at home, so he was going to pick on me. And he decided that he was going to provoke me, and as soon as I opened my mouth, he was going to shove me in the chest, which of course is like getting sucker punched. You don't expect it, and boom, head over heels I went. And I as I was picking myself up off the ground, I felt like I was going to burst into tears because it not only hurt, but it was humiliating. You know, why would somebody do that to me? You know, this guy was from the neighborhood. And as I stood up, he walloped me right in the face with a fist. And I went down again. And I ran home silent. I was so enraged, I ran home silent. When my father got home that night, I told him, this kid's name was Chris. Chris pushed me. Chris shoved me, then he punched me in the face. You know, my father's questioning was, number one, what did you do? What did you do that he acted this way? Nothing! You know, kids, nothing! And the next thing he said to me, he looked at me, he says, oh yeah? You know, all 6'3½", 250 pounds of him. He says, you better learn how to defend yourself. You better learn how to fight. That's what he said to me. You better learn how to defend yourself. He didn't say anything marshmallow-like, well, you better not retaliate. He says, you better learn how to fight. You know, but then it was like, okay, well, teach me. But you know,
Yeah, he was too busy.
Respect? I don't know. Respect. Who respects anybody these days?
That's what I'm saying. There's no respect for people coming in and out of traffic. There's no respect, you know, holding the door open for each other. I mean, civility. It's gone. You know, and I tell people all the time, John, and we've said this, if everybody just did their part, if everybody respected each other, it goes a long way. You know, if you show respect to somebody, especially in a tough situation, they're going to show respect to either you or somebody else later in the day. And that's the way it works. Yeah. And parents, you have to teach your kids respect. I mean, not physically teach them, but just from jump when they're small, say, listen, parents, policemen, teachers, You know, until somebody crosses you, you do treat them with respect. That's what I would tell my kids. Listen, you treat everybody the same. If somebody crosses the line, you know, then you do what you have to do.
I hate to say it, but you know where as you were talking, I'm listening to you and I'm picturing the old timers. Something is nagging at me. And no, what's nagging at me is the thought, the concept that once the struggle to survive is abated,
Eliminated.
eliminated,
Amen.
once that struggle for survive is gone, to survive is gone, it seems like, I don't know, maybe people lose respect for themselves. Maybe people then have no respect for other people. Life becomes a pressure cooker because, you know, let's face it, television is the opium of the masses, but who the hell ever would think that the opium being dealt out or doled out would be coming from the authorities, from the government, from the intel services? They had to have a, you know, they knew what they were doing. There was going to be a chicken in every pot and a TV in every family room. And the TV, I think that's the answer. I think the government reached right in, right? And we talked about taking the fathers out of the zone of influence with going to work. And then the mothers were all, you know, career-minded and fine. But then the TV was that wooden stake, you know, just malleted right into the heart of the American families, because the TV was teaching us all sorts of shit. And what did it evolve to? I know it's a couple of years back now because it was popular when my kids were watching it, but iCarly was a stupid bullshit preteen, I don't even, what would you call it? Was it a sitcom, a situational, whatever? And it was all about a bunch of preteens that were running around in $1 million apartment with some whack-off kid fancying himself to be the producer or the director, the videographer, and he was constantly recording people with this big shoulder-held, you know, video recorder. And there wasn't a single adult in the entire goddamn program. That's it. What respect? What would your parents, how dare your parents speak to you?
John, I think you hit it right on the head with that television statement. And this is the new television right here.
Oh,
this
yeah.
is now, instead, at least with a television, you had a shot of your parents, you know, finding out what you're watching, right?
Yeah, right.
Now with this, everybody's like this. You can't see it, you know, what's going on.
Yep.
The new television, this is where it's taken over. As many good things as this thing brings, it brings a lot of bad things.
Yeah, no, and you know, from working with kids for decades, I would see kids come in to the office for an office visit, talking to the mom, and out of the corner of my eye, I'm looking at their 2.5-year-old kid who's going like this on an iPhone, boom, 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 and scroll, boom, 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 and it's like, wow, these kids just know. These kids know how to use this shit.
Well, to close off, John, before you're alchemized, I would just tell parents, teach your kids respect.
Yep.
You know, teach them respect.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Well, all I can say, you know what, this is one that I think, you know, it makes me sad. It makes me sad to think that respect is very hard to find. And I would say, I wonder who the patron saint of respect is. I don't know, but you know something? I'm going to pick with my intuition, St. Augustine. St. Augustine of Hippo. St. Augustine. I call upon you, St. Augustine, and this is not a joke. Do your best to shed some light onto the people of the world that kids need to show respect to their elders, and elders in turn need to have respect for themselves and in turn for their kids. Life is a pressure cooker. Life is a pressure cooker. St. Augustine, I reach out to you. I am a channel for the saints. It's not a joke. I joke and I bluster and whatnot, but I am a channel for the saints. St. Augustine, help the world. The world needs a big, fat booster dose of respect. Amen.
Great job, John. Thank you very much for that. And thank you, everybody, for joining us on the Jersey Alchemist. If you like what we're doing, press like, subscribe, tell your friends. Till next time, peace.